Hey everyone, Kristen David here, and I am joined by someone that I think the world of, Lee Heyward, who has helped me so tremendously over the years. Lee is a prosperous image branding expert. She is absolutely one of the go-to people in my life and somebody that I have been working with since 2013, I think. It's been a lot of years that's passed, but we are here to celebrate National Entrepreneur Month and celebrating you, all of the business owners out there, and helping look at other parts of your life and not just always looking at the business. We help you with the systems and building thriving businesses, but in order to thrive personally, you've got to also balance that with everything else going on. And I'm excited to have Lee here to talk about what is branding and what your personal brand means and what it brings to the table to help you live in alignment with yourself. So, Lee, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me. This is fun.
So, we were talking a little bit earlier this morning about the whole fact that I think the first time that I ever hired you and you did a Skype with me in my closet, like I had to take my iPad into my closet and like pull things out and show you. And, I grew up in Oregon and I had like a bunch of Carhartt materials and stuff. And you're like, what is that? And where would you even wear it?
Well, okay, for starters, I know what Carhartt is because I also grew up on a farm. So let's be clear about that.
Okay.
But I mean, I think you can attest to the fact that I think a lot of times when you are an entrepreneur and you like sort of put on the entrepreneur hat, you're like, oh gosh, I have to figure out what to wear and I have to figure out what my personal brand looks like. And a lot of times it just ends up being like a hodgepodge of either what you've been doing before or what you think you should be doing instead of really putting a strategy behind it. And I think that was one of the most fun things that we got to do with you is figure out like, okay, what's the actual strategy? Not the fact that, oh gosh, I used to have to go into a law office every day and wear a suit.
Yeah. You were instrumental in getting me out of suit jail because I literally had like 6 suits. And so I didn't have to think. I didn't have to like every morning I'd get up and wear one of those suits. And then when I started speaking and doing other things, it was, finding that new look. And I think when you first met me, it was more the, being the lawyer look. And then when you saw my closet, you're like, where did all these clothes come from? Like, what is all this stuff in here? But that was part of me kind of finding and being, in alignment with who I am and having clothes that travel with me, clothes that like match who I am and my color schematic and all of that. So let's step back a little bit and just talk in general about what is some people are not sure what is a personal brand. What does that mean?
Yeah, I think the word brand is one of these words. It's like this buzzword that gets tossed out all the time now. Like, oh, I need to get a brand. Like you're going to go out and like get a book and read it and then you have a brand. And your brand just comes from let me say this, when you are a elite service professional. So when you and your business are one, essentially, your brand comes from inside of you. And so it's really about extracting the true, authentic pieces of who you are and what you're here to do, and then figuring out how to like put that in a little cute bow so that people have this entire cohesive picture and really are clear on what you're about. And that's more of what a brand is other than just like a band-aid of like prettiness. It's not actually about being pretty. It's about making an impact.
Absolutely. And it's, I think that that's the part that really is that key that unlocks it all, is that for a long time, I just had the look of a lawyer, but I didn't have any flavor of, I didn't have that style, that pizzazz. Not that I claim that I have it fully now, but I know more clearly who I am and how to show up and what to, I'm not a person to wear like furs and like that. That's just not me. I'm very, in the summertime, I'm the first one jumping in the swimming pool. I'm the first one, jumping in and doing active things. And I have to kind of be able to move with my clothes. I can't just be so stringent all the time. But is so I think a lot of people they're probably watching this and are thinking about like, how do you unlock that part? How do you like, what's the process? Like when someone comes to you, what's some of that awesome sauce that you kind of bring to the table that help people kind of figure out where they are?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, so I think honestly, one of the first things that we have to all do for ourselves is just give ourselves a little bit of grace, because I think particularly women and other men as well, but particularly for women, you sort of have this perception of these people who are able to walk into a room and you're like, did it take them 3 hours to get ready? Like, how do they always look like they have it together? Like it's this like unimaginable, completely intangible thing. And so, I mean, I think we have to start by giving ourselves a little grace in terms of like, it's just not something to just poof, shows up. You have to actually do the work to get it. And then it can become easy. Yeah. And to your point, you can't build it without adding in the reality of your life. So if you're not interested in 4-inch stilettos, then they don't need to be in your closet. Like there's no need. Yeah. So you really, truly have to go in and look at who you are and then figure out how to reflect where you're going on the outside. And so no matter what the project is that I'm doing branding wise, whether we are, overhauling your personal brand or going into a piece of your business brand to overhaul it, it always starts with how you are showing up. I mean, that's always the key.
And I think that does play a little bit with where you are in the world. Because so one of the things you've done with me, I live a third of the time in Seattle, Washington, a third of the time in Paris when I can get there, and a third of the time traveling. And I know one of the things a year and a half ago you did with me is we revamped the wardrobe at each of the different locations, because when I'm in Seattle, I mean, it's kind of cold and wet here a lot. And so, a little more layers, a little more, some different clothing. When I'm in Paris, like it's a little more chic. It's a little more, because I'm not as actively out running around. I'm, it's a different environment for me. And when I'm traveling, I mean, you helped me find like lightweight shoes that can pack well, like clothes that don't wrinkle, because I don't have time to get to a hotel and like start ironing and stuff. So that was all part of how I show up, how I, my daily activities. And while there were nuances, a lot of the wardrobe is the same in all, for the suitcase, for Paris, for Seattle, for wherever I am. What are some of the things that you encourage people to do when they think about themselves and their lifestyle? Like what's an exercise you have them go through?
Yeah, well, I mean, to piggyback the last thing you said about like you and all the different locations, I mean, the thread that runs through that is the idea that you just want it to have a sense of ease. Yeah. And so that about yourself, and we just weave that into it. I mean, so one thing, the exercise I always ask people to do, and people have maybe even heard me say this before, is literally think about how you want to feel. And so if a sense of ease is part of it, then it needs to go in there. And if you can come up with like 3 words of like, I want to feel strong, I want to feel powerful, I mean, I want to feel frilly, like, I mean, I'm just making it up, whatever they are, you have to really like embrace that. And then we take those pieces and apply them to everyone else or everywhere else. So for you having the different locations, you have to make sure you still had each one of all those feels everywhere you were.
Yeah. And I love that one of the Facebook users said, like, where can we start? And then that just tied straight into your comment about like, you start where start with how you want to feel.
Yeah. And the key to that is like really paying attention to the fact that I didn't say, how do you want to look? And that's what most people think that the personal brand is about, because at the end of the day, it is how you show up and how you want to look. But you can't get to that place until you figure out how you actually want to feel. Otherwise, you can go just basically buy a bunch of stuff. You can put it on your body and it doesn't get the result that you want because you're just wearing somebody else's costume. Then it's like Halloween every day. So truly starting with how you want to feel, and then you can take that a step further and like write the words down, go into your closet and open it up and ask yourself, like, does this shirt make me feel
XYZ.
badass, at ease, whatever it is?
So you've made me do this, and I have in my closet, I have like the little sheet, and it's like, do I feel vibrant, streamlined, and in control? Like, and sometimes I throw in the word sexy in there.
Yep.
Like if I'm going out for dinner or doing something like, and I need a little personal stuff, but it's being consistent and like, and you did the same thing with me of making me go through my closet and even some clothes I tried on. It's like, if they don't meet that criteria, right, then it's time to move on. It's find some other piece to take that place. But yeah, so many different elements to this that I know I never understood any of this stuff. I love Sarah's comment. When you feel good, you look good.
So true.
So true. Absolutely. So what would be some of the things? So we talk about personal brand and your business brand and how, like, you've seen it. You've had clients. I've seen it where people aren't in alignment, and you can tell. Like, it's like there's the business brand and then there's like the personal thing going on. And
right.
Talk a little bit about why that's so important to as an entrepreneur. I mean, this is, National Entrepreneur Month, so we're celebrating entrepreneurs, but why is it important to be in alignment?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I mean, the easiest way to explain it is I call it a record skip moment. And it's that moment where, like, you think that you're buying one thing because the brand has represented itself in a certain way. But then you meet someone or something else within the brand, and it gives you this moment where your subconscious is like, wait a minute, is that actually what's happening? Like, it's just something that throws you off. And so that's what we call the record skip moment. And the idea is that if you can create this consistency and alignment throughout the brand, you can kind of think of it almost like a metaphor of a hotel. So like, as a hotel, when they're thinking about their brand, they don't actually know like what floor somebody's going to come in. Somebody might come in at the lobby. They might meet the CEO of Marriott. They might meet somebody who works there. They might come straight in from the parking garage. You have no idea. So they have to be really clear on what it is that they represent to their client and who they want to be, and run that through the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, and it's also, I am zooming out so I can look at your background. I mean, you just recently did a great Zoom makeover group. I know a bunch of people loved it. It was so great. Even members of my team were enjoying it. But behind you, you've got your book, you've got the flowers, you've got like this image that it's just congruent. It meshes and matches. And so often in businesses, they've got their branding online and that looks great. But then if you go in their office, it's just horrible, right? Or they've got this great brand and everything looks so streamlined, but then you look at the clothes they're wearing and it's not consistent, right? Or maybe they'd show up dressing amazing, but then they turn around and what's in the what's online or what's isn't congruent with the way they look personally, right? So how do people kind of figure that out? How do people start to like realize when do they need to get into alignment? Do they need to wait till somebody else says it, or is there something they should start to recognize in themselves?
Well, I mean, it's a great question. You kind of have to take a step and figure out where you are right now. So if you are in the beginning phases of building a team, you have an established brand, but you don't have all of these people quite yet, you're in an awesome spot because you get to decide how you want it to look. But the only way that you can do that is to decide what you want it to look like, 5 years from now. When you already have all of that established, sometimes you have to really go back and look at how it is that you built each piece, because most of the time we are running fast. You are building all the things because this has to be launched, this has to be sold, we have to serve the clients, all the things have to happen. And each piece of your brand gets sort of hodgepodge together. And so you have to come back to that middle ground of like, what are we here to do? And what is the impact that you want to make? And if you can put some adjectives around that, I mean, this is sort of like a really in-depth exercise that I take my clients through. But at the end, we end up with essentially a formula of words that allow you to sort of check the box. Like, is this on brand? And you have 4 parameters that tell you yes or no that you can then use for like business cards. Ooh, no. Website. Ooh, no. Our dress code, Molly's skirt, whatever. Like, it gives you a way to start to look at it from the reference of like, okay, it doesn't hit every single one of these boxes. So it's not on brand. And it's the same with your personal brand, with the words you were talking about. You know, once you come up with the how you want to feel, you have to choose, you have to get all of them. It's not just one. Otherwise you're not on brand.
Yeah. So we had a question from someone online, from Marcella. What comes first, your personal brand or the business?
That's a great question. So because as an elite service professional, you are leading all of the results that you get, whether you are in the business as a visionary or in the business, you know, wearing all the hats. So you must start with yourself first all the time.
Okay. Start with yourself. Love that.
Yeah. So I think back to, so when I first started my business, I was doing a lot of like closet edits, and I was working with a lot of people in corporate. And one of my most favorite questions well, 2 things. Here's what would happen. We'd be going through the clothes and people would get to their work section and they'd be like, oh, this is just work. And they would almost just want to like get rid of it as fast as possible. Like, they didn't even want to talk about it. And I was like, whoa, what's happening? You are at work 5 days a week. You know, it's a large period of your time. Why wouldn't this be an area where you're going to really focus on how you're showing up? But most people were like, no, let's not do it. So then I would ask people, well, tell me what your boss wears. Like, tell me about this. And it was always a disaster. And so that's the bar. So like the leadership sets the bar. And so that's where you have to work on the personal brand first, because if you're trying to lead a vision or a mission or a team or anything, if you don't have it right from you from the inside out, you're building kind of a hot mess.
Yeah. I love that. Leadership sets the bar. That's like going to be my new mantra for like the whole month of December's National Business Planning Month. So like I'm gonna like use that over and over again. That's my new thing.
Well, I mean, it's so key. I mean, we talked about this a little bit earlier, is a lot of times when you're not getting a result that you want, it's because of how you are actually showing up. And so if you're showing up as the leader in a personal brand that inspires people, it says, no, we have our shit together because this is the type of business we are all the time, no matter what's happening, whether you're coming into the office or you're virtually on Zoom. It sets the tone. I actually had a conversation with a client yesterday who had recently up-leveled her wardrobe, and she was like, my associate has stepped it up. And I was like, see, I told you. Like,
that's awesome. I know that over the years, I've worked with a lot of business owners, and we've talked a lot about how to have that personal conversation with staff, whether it's a receptionist or back in the law firm days, like an associate or a paralegal, to have the tough love conversation about the fact that sometimes they show up looking like shit. And they, you know, I mean, it's just one of those things that you got to bite the bullet sometimes and have that tough love conversation, because they don't see it in themselves. They don't realize what image they're giving off. And it can be a complete, like, owner could look great, but if the associate is showing up, you know, unshaven and mishapped and whatever, right? Like, that sends like such a bad image to your client. So you have to be the leader and tackle it from that higher place. And sometimes that means those tough love conversations, but we love it when they step up on their own too.
Well, I mean, that's one of the reasons I have the business that I do, because sometimes I'm the one that says the tough love conversations. But
true.
I think the reminder for all of the leaders and owners out there is that you got to remember, when it comes to like getting dressed, there was no like school on here's how you show up so that all the things work well, you look good, you feel good. It's just a hodgepodge of like, your mom said this, somebody made fun of you when you wore that, so you don't wear that anymore. You saw it in a magazine. Somebody complimented you. That's my favorite one. People are like, oh, but people give me compliments. I'm like, okay, sometimes people just don't know what to say. Like, you can't just only go on that as like how you build your personal brand. So you got to remember as the leader that it's your job to sort of build the culture that you want people to step into. You can't expect that, people know, like, don't have an undershirt sticking out, or don't come to work with your hair wet, or please don't wear flip-flops because they flip-flop through the office and everybody is going crazy. So it's just a reminder that, like, you gotta kind of set the tone and then develop the dress culture so that you're getting what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that I've talked to people about is, like, at what point in their business growth do they really focus on brand? Like, in the beginning, it's a lot of hustle, right? It's like a lot of getting it going, and it's hard to stay focused on all the little things. But talk a little bit about, like, how even in just the website and in you talked about it, like your business cards, like how those just little things can help you get started as well. Right. Even if it's not like swag all over the place or something.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a tricky question because you really are just hustling to go and sell and get it done. But what you're trying to prevent, because you are in hustle mode, is having to go backwards and hustle to, like, fix all the things that if you would have just sat down for 30 minutes and done it right, you wouldn't have wasted the money and you wouldn't have wasted the time. And we all learn these lessons. Like, I mean, I have countless ones myself. We all learn the hard way. And then you're like, right on. I'm going to do this right next time. But the real key is looking at where you're trying to go. And even if that's not, like, crystal clear, you got to ask yourself, like, what is the impact I'm trying to make? And if that's not crystal clear, then ask yourself, like, what are the like non-negotiable things that I teach my children? Or, like, what are the things that people say about me that are like, these are who you are? And start to weave those in. So, I mean, like, if one of your biggest things is that, like, you are the most, like, detail-oriented person on the planet, and you can't stand when people just let things go through the cracks, whatever, then that needs to be portrayed on a website. If a website is all, like, haphazard put together, or links aren't working. Now, when you tell a client, look, one of the things that really sets us apart is we leave no detail, to chance or whatever. Yeah. Then you create that incongruence. So when you actually spend the time to kind of go back and figure out what it is that you want to build, it's really helpful.
I absolutely agree. And I've seen a lot of business owners that they don't work on some of that easy stuff in the beginning. And it's so much easier to start in the beginning with, like, 30 minutes sitting down, figure it out. And then everything flows from there and feels so much easier versus waiting. I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, once I get to a certain level, then I'll deal with all that. And it's like, no, the time is early on to get involved.
I wish, I'll have to find a picture of this and maybe post it in the comments once this is posted. But so in the, like, 10 years ago, when I first launched the first rendition of my business, it was called Charleston Style Concierge. And I had this logo with this, like, really chic lady, and she wore a hat and her head was down like this and you couldn't see her face. And it was like, she's a beautiful lady. But then all over the website, it's like, we teach you how to be confident. And I was like, I had this moment where I was like, that's the most unconfident lady I've ever seen. Like, she can't even look you in the face. And so a lot of times you go, you hire a designer and they send you things and you're like, ooh, that's pretty, I like it. And you put it up and off you run. But you got to stand back and be like, okay, is this actually selling what I want to sell? And so, I mean, I did it myself. I had the whole moment where I was like, oh my gosh, it's completely incongruent. I changed it.
We did that. I was with a client just a couple days ago. I guess I was it was end of last week. And we were looking at her new ebook, and, we went from a picture of a gentleman. She mainly deals with men. And then it was like this picture of a woman. And I was like, well, okay, wait, is that, like, that's not at all who your target is. So why is this in here? And I mean, it was even just kind of so subtle, but it was like, oh, okay, the designer didn't really know that part. And so just had put a regular stock picture in. But yeah, just having that clarity of who you are, what the look and feel is that you're going after, that you want to portray, that you want to work with, it makes a difference to the whole thing. So listen, entrepreneurs are in this journey, as I tend to say, and they are always moving a million miles an hour, right? How do you get them to slow down? How do you get them to stop and think about, like, for 5 seconds, what do you want? Like, how do you get them to get that clarity? I know you're amazing at it.
Yeah, I'm like, well, just get on the phone with me and I'll tie it all up in a bow for you. But I mean, it's really asking yourself, okay, here's somebody said to me yesterday, I thought this was very funny. They were like, so you're like the fairy godmother for businesses. And I was like, okay. But this is the question that I ask people. So here's what you do. You take the magic wand that I hand you and you like magic wand the life and the business and the person that you want. Yeah. And you magic wand it. There is no reality. None. What shows up? Because usually when we do this exercise, you're like, well, I have all these children. I have to provide for these people. I can't dry my hair. It's too long. I have big boobs, so I can't wear this. Like all these things get in the way. And so you never really truly build this like idea of who you are or who the business is that you truly want. So literally magic wand it. Like what shows up? 5 minutes. If you had a magic wand, what would my business look like and how would I show up in it?
I love it. Magic wand it. Well, I got to tell you that that's exactly what you did for me. I mean, I don't know how you magic wanded it, but we sat down and you went through and you asked me a bunch of questions and just helped me get that clarity. And it was such an eye-opening experience to really recognize what my personal brand is and then what my business brand is and how to align those, how to put it all together. That was just such an amazing part of this journey. And anyways, I for anybody out there that's thinking that they need some help, you need to talk to Lee. But go ahead.
I think the other day when I was doing that Zoom challenge, and I think you saw this part, I kind of described the concept of your personal brand and your business brand as a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So you all know I have little children based on the fact I'm making a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. But the idea is like peanut butter on bread, like it's fine, it's good. Like jelly on bread, it's fine, it's good. But when you put it together for the right person, it's magical. Like for my 6-year-old, a peanut butter and jelly sandwich is just the bomb. And so for the right client, when you mix the right brand and the right sort of personal brand, because it's all done in a really authentic way, it's something people can't live without. And that's what you're looking for. And then people tell people like, you need this peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's delicious. It will save your life or whatever.
Yeah. I love it. Now, so I always do the peanut butter and jelly sandwich of how to teach people how to write procedures of step by step, how much goes on and everything. But now I'm going to have like a whole new element to the peanut butter and jelly sandwich story.
You'll have to make a little sandwich shop. It'll be a business sandwich shop.
There you go. There you go. Well, so as part of National Entrepreneur Month, I know we've really been focused on helping business owners, take a step back and look at their whole being and their personal lives, what they can do in their communities, what they can do to feed themselves and be healthy, and how to look and feel good was part of this. All of this is because in life we just want to move forward, and as my one is thrive in the moment is a big part of what and who I am. But I think in every single one of us, there's that element of we want to thrive, we want to grow, we want to learn, we want to be the best we can be. And branding is part of that, of really helping pull it all together. And I know I've seen a number of your clients I've known them before, I've known them after, and it's such a transformation to see just how they show up and how they live life. And they just start to glow because they feel good every single day. And I hope everyone can take a couple nuggets from today, what they can do with their brand, what they can do to kind of start moving forward. I would encourage them to start by just picking up the phone and calling you. That's what I do.
Well, it is a good way to do it.
Yeah. But even then, I mean, refresher, I called you up again and earlier this, a couple months ago, and I was like, hey, I want some, fresh looks for fall. I want some different things. And just a little bit can go such a long ways. And it's that empowerment part. So I think every business owner, as they're building their business, needs to also step back and be like, okay, personally, what am I doing to grow myself as well and to build? So such an important part. Any final takeaway or comment? What would you say to business owners as like something tangible they can start doing right away?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm going to piggyback on your thrive comment. I mean, I really think the key to thriving is extracting any of the should in your life. And so literally, like, let's just take it from a personal brand perspective. Like, what are you doing because you think you should? Okay. You're wearing black pants because they are professional and you think you should. You're wearing your hair a certain way because you think you should. Like, just remove the should and start to play with what's actually possible. I mean, I know that's a little abstract, but like the should is what is keeping people playing small.
I love that. I popped that up there on the screen because I think that's an important part for everyone to just think about every day, every week. What are you doing because you think you should? Get rid of the should, just do and have fun.
Yeah.
That's an important part. Well, listen, I know that you do such amazing work with helping business owners align their brand. I will definitely pop the information. Actually, where should they go?
Oh, where should they go? So prosperousimage.com.
I spell it right. There.
Yeah, or Heyward.com if that's easier.
There you go. Cool. Well, thank you, Lee, for jumping in. I know everybody's moving forward with getting ready for the holidays and December is right around the corner, but I feel like image and branding is actually evergreen. I mean, it's a topic that can be there, and whether they tackle it right now or whether they wait a couple weeks, I would encourage they at some point get it done and not move forward and not delay it is what I'm saying. Not think they can get to it later. Instead, get it going right away. That's what's going to make the most difference. So that's my final comment is get started now. Don't delay it and start aligning the personal brand with the professional brand. Such a big part of it. So anything else?
Love it. I mean, the only thing I'd say to add to that is like just the reminder that people are buying you, even if you are not the thing, they are buying you. And that's why the personal brand can make such an impact to sales.
Cool. Well, we've had some great people out there on social media making comments on a number of different platforms. So appreciate all of our viewers today. Love the fact that people are showing up and always striving to learn more and hone their skills and get into alignment. So Lee, thank you so much for being a guest today. I had a lot of fun just chatting with you, and we should do in the new year something fun together.
Okay, let's do it. It'd be super fun. But thanks for having me. I love it.
Yeah, I'm always up for hanging out with you. You have transformed my life. I know that. So awesome. Thank you, Lee. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.